Hey everybody, Kevin Purcell with the Theotek podcast. We're back after a couple of weeks hiatus, or 1 week hiatus. There was a couple of guys did a sort of an unofficial Theotek last week, but today we're going to hopefully have the whole team together. But to start off, it's just Wes and I, and today we're going to talk church video. We have a wonderful church video expert as a guest today, but he's not only a guest, but he's also our regular, and that's
looking for where he is.
Yeah, Wes Allen, who is a pastor and also does technology for his denomination. It's the American Baptist Church of New Jersey. Is that right?
American Baptist Churches of New Jersey. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And he's sort of their technology and video guy. And of course, I'm pastor here in High Peak Baptist Church and have been using video a lot in my churches since I did my doctoral dissertation on using multimedia in expository preaching back in 2005. So we both have done a lot of this, and so we just wanted to talk a little bit about it today. Maybe some tips, whether you should not use it, when to use it, how to do it a little bit better, and some sources if you don't ever want to get involved in it yourself. So we'll show those at the end, hopefully, if we have time. And as you can see, we were just joined by Rick Mansfield. He is, I don't know what your chops are in church video, Rick, but we've been talking about our subject today as we talk about church video. Rick is from Accordance Bible Software. And are you at home in Kentucky this week?
No, I'm in San Francisco. It's very early here.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you're...
That's why he was looking for coffee.
Yes.
There you go.
All right. Well, hey, let's jump right into this. We're hoping to have Antoine, our other regular, in a little bit. He said he might be able to come on a little late this morning, but church video. Wes, tell me, when do people generally use video in church?
When do they use it? Let me say how when we tend to use it, and I was just talking, right before the podcast we were talking. I am an odd geek in that my whole desire anytime I use technology in worship is to make it fade into the background. I don't want it to be noticed.
I agree.
And that's part of my great struggle in this conversation. I was talking with you about that before, Kevin, is that so oftentimes when I've gone to a church they're very big about video. The video just gets so in your face and it overwhelms everything, and it creates a much different feel for the worship service. So at Central, we use it sparingly. We've probably used it less in the last 2 years because I'm working at ABCNJ and so much of my creative energy gets sucked up by the region. But when we've typically used it is when, when I get a good block and I'm able to prep a sermon series, or we're doing devotional study that I've written, or something to generate energy around an upcoming discipleship program or something that we're working on. That's typically when videos will come out. Like I actually a couple years ago I did a sermon series on Kingdom Collision, and it was during I guess it was a 2008 election. Good grief, it was 7 years ago. And it was all about the political implications of Jesus' teaching in the first century, and what if anything that impacted for us, because a lot of times we will say Jesus was totally political, or we'll try to say Jesus is completely apolitical, and you start listening to what Jesus was actually saying. He was very political in a way that nobody expected in his world, and so that's what I wanted to explore. And so I created a trailer, and it actually started with like a preview screen from like the movie theater. This sermon series will be provocative and make you think, and it'll be it's rated PG-13, and went through and kind of tried to highlight through image, and I got a bunch of friends to do recordings of the political expectations of his era and come through. And so I thought that was a really good use of video for us, because it let people know this was something that I'd spent a lot of time on. We were going into a very contentious political season with the campaign. This was before campaigning was 24/7, 365. So we were entering into a campaign season, and it let people know that there was a a way for us as Christians to enter into the current dialogue by reflecting on Scripture and how maybe we could impact. So I thought that was a really appropriate use. More recently, we helped out a woman who had ended up in the hospital, and the church did a great deal of help for her, and she was really, really appreciative. And she wasn't going to be able to be in church for a while, and she was saying, well, let everybody know that I said okay. And I said, why don't you let me come and I'll just video you? And she said, oh, sure. So it was a 30-second video. I edited maybe just a little bit before and after, and that was the entire video. But people, they saw her and they realized, this is some good that we've actually done, and that became a celebration for the church. So those are the types of times that I use it, and occasionally, I'll use video clips during my sermon. Mostly, I use image because, I do the motion. But those are the 3 times I tend to use it. I don't use huge blocks for illustrations or things like that. I tend to use image for that more thing than motion video.
Right, Rick. When have you seen it done and effectively in church? What are the uses that you've seen it used?
Well, a couple of ways that we've used it. We will record our baptism, our main service, because we outgrew our sanctuary, and so we meet for worship in a gymnasium that's on our property. But the baptistry is still in the old sanctuary, and so that's usually a separate service. It can't hold as many people, so not as many people go to those, but everyone gets to see the baptism because we record it and then we show that the next Sunday, and so that's also a way to share that, to have that moment recorded for those individuals who were baptized and their families. Because there's obviously no recording when I was baptized, and probably you two were baptized, and so that's a neat moment to share. The other interesting thing is how video is progressing. We do a Christmas dinner theater every year, and so I'm usually asked to record that. And in the past, when I first started doing that, everyone who participated in it and everyone's grandma and whoever wanted a DVD copy of that, and I'll be honest, it was miserable. Recording all of those DVDs because it just took forever. It tied up the computer, and I would be like, in March or April before I got all those DVDs done for everybody that wanted one. But now what we do is I will take that video and I will put it online, which is really nice. And so, and occasionally I'll have someone say to me, hey, can you make me a DVD of that? But this past year, nobody asked me for a DVD, which was really nice. So, what we do a lot of at our church, and I'm not on staff at the church, I'm just fairly active, is that we use it for those means of taking part of what we've done and then sharing that outside of the church walls, outside of the service. And then we occasionally do the there might be a missions video or something like that we'll show during the service, but we don't do a whole lot of that compared with I think what we used to do. I think we've kind of toned down our use of video a little bit from the past. We don't have as many of the sermon illustrations that are based around video like we used to.
That's interesting because I find people seem to be going in 2 different directions now. In like both of you have said, you're using it less in like those ways, sermon illustration, and I find myself using it less in that way. For me, it's probably more just a busyness issue than it is a, philosophical. But I actually have heard people talk about, that as people get more media savvy, that church media seems more, I don't know what the right word for it is, cheap, amateurish, those kinds of things. And so it stands out like a sore thumb more than it used to. It used to be some whiz-bang wow to it, and that's less so now.
I know, and Kev, I don't know if it's necessarily, we often will talk about production value, and you know that I really like doing good production value for the stuff that I do. But when you see some of the people who are popular on like YouTube, it's not high production value. I think part of our problem in incorporating so much of this stuff in church is to use, everybody likes to bring up the old Wayne Gretzky idea, but this is really, I think, true for us. So oftentimes when we're trying to use the latest whiz bang, we're skating to where the puck is, and like everybody else has moved to where the puck is going in a completely different direction. And so we constantly look like we're doing a me too. And I think that's our biggest problem. It's not production value or whiz bang. It's just like, oh, look over here, look over here. We're like the little kid who's like not getting paid attention to at the, at the family picnic. And I think that's why I really want us to have a very robust theology of how we incorporate this stuff into worship,
well,
so that we can get ahead.
Was the Me Too outlook of it? If you use it for certain things, like creating a skit and videotaping it instead of doing it live, it's most often going to look cheap and amateurish compared to, the skits. When do you see that kind of thing? Well, you see it in late night television.
Right.
They have millions of dollars to produce that little skit video.
8 cameras and
Saturday Night Live, or some other thing like that. Or you see it at big mega church down the street who has hundreds of dollars to create that, where it's still not going to be like Saturday Night Live's or Jimmy Kimmel's, but it's still going to be a lot better than I can do it for $0 in my church. And so that can be an issue. Or I think we had a guest recently that talked about how he hated the guy from Canada. I'm losing his name, but he talked about how he hates how churches are using announcement videos because of this issue that we're talking about. And so I think where I think it'd be really great is, you mentioned, Rick, that you do baptisms. I think that's an awesome thing. What I have started doing some in the past, I haven't done it much recently, but when a person gets saved at our church and they're going to be baptized, I'll ask them, would you like to give a testimony? Most of them say no because they're scared of doing it in front of the whole people. And I say, well, what if we recorded it beforehand and played it right before you were baptized or right after, something like that? And I've had a few people take me up on that because they're willing to do it alone in a room with just me and a camera, whereas, of course, then when you sit down with them, they get scared because they see the camera. But and I have to sort of, hey, just talk to me. Don't even look at the camera. Just talk to me. But those are great times to use it. Creating the skit video or the announcement video that's trying to be funny, I think those are bad times unless you're just really talented. And so those are some times. You put, well, this was something that you showed here on a link
YouTube.
You put in. What is this that you put
That
up?
was for my Kingdom Collision, and it was a highlight of a political attack ad against Jesus.
Jesus is loved by thousands. He preaches and teaches to adoring crowds and says he's talking about a kingdom not of this world. Right. Then why does Jesus tell his followers not to pay their taxes? You live in this world, and Jesus is just another zealot with a grudge against Rome. Don't be fooled by a heavenly kingdom. Do what's right for your kingdom. Jesus, wrong on taxes, wrong for Rome. And for the patriots of the empire.
All right, I actually like that. That's pretty good.
So that's the type of thing that I'll occasionally use it for.
But see, that's something different than what I was just criticizing. Because it's simple and direct and gets to the point, and it's also not long. That's the other problem that you see is sometimes they're very long. Well, let me give you my examples when I think it can be used effectively. I've already mentioned some testimonies are good times. I think another good way to do it is if you've had some special event in your church that not everyone has attended and you want to show some highlights, if you've got someone who's good at editing so that it's not long, you just quick hit fast-paced edits. We've done that with like a Vacation Bible School recently. I showed a video on Sunday mornings that highlighted some of the special events that happened during VBS. And actually had my youngest son, he's 17, starting to get into photography, and I had him actually shoot the videos, and he did a really good job with it. I've set mention on mission trips. When I've gone on mission trips, we'll shoot some video. For our association's Missions Emphasis Week, I interviewed a bunch of different people who have different ministries and put together a video. It ended up being too long. I wish I could have gotten it shorter, but I hated asking the people, can I interview you, and then cut them out of the video entirely. That would have felt sort of rude. But anyway, you know, I think those are times when it can be used effectively. And then the other thing is that I mentioned using sermon illustration videos can be good if you do it one of two ways. I think if there's some complex topic or subject that I want to explain really quickly and easily, maybe you could shoot a video that could do that without you just standing up there explaining it. That might get sort of pedantic and boring. Or maybe someone has already created such a video online and you can get permission to show it in your church. And then I'll show off a couple of websites. I said I was going to do this at the end, but let me go ahead and do it now. One of them is this company called Share Faith, and I've logged into our church's account, and they have all kinds of things here. But you can search, for example, Independence Day, and go down here to sermon videos, and then it'll show you. These are mostly like flash animations.
Right.
And as I say, almost none of these look like Independence Days, but here's one that looks like it is. Well, it's actually a Memorial Day video.
We honor selflessness. As you brave.
But anyway, you can find these. Another place is Bluefish TV, if you want to use them. These are usually paid videos, but I find that Bluefish TV is cheaper than some of the others, and they still have some quality videos. Let's see here. And then Sermon Spice is one of the more popular ones, and I've gotten a few of these. Sometimes they're a little expensive, like $20 expensive for one video in a small church is a little much, in my opinion. I would say if a video less than 3 minutes is any more than $10, it's too much. But on occasion, I've seen one that was so good that I was willing to pay that amount of money for it. Another one is Highway Video. I don't use them much at all, but it's there, and it's a popular one that people use. If you buy Media Shout, you'll get some sample imagery and videos from Highway Media. And so those are some good places if you want to find some and use it, but you don't want to create it yourself, and you can get some of that, you know, higher quality video. But I like what you said, Wes, about doing, you know, use it, have a reason to use it. Don't just use it to use it. It shouldn't be the end should not be to use video in church, because really no one's that impressed with it. You know, everybody thinks, like, you know, we old folks, we think, hey, the young kids these days like that video. So we think if I just show video, that'll wow the kids. Then the kids mostly look at it, and if it's not done well, they're far more critical of low quality video than we are.
Oh, and they have it on their phone 24/7,
right.
So it's not a big splash. I get it more, Kev. The now folks who are middle aged like me, which it's kind of hard to put myself in that phrase. They'll still look at the old folks and be like, I don't care about what those people think because they don't like it, and they'll never like it, so I don't even worry about them. I hear that more and more, and I think that's a terrible blade on the church. That to me, that's even worse than just trying to cater to the little kids incorrectly, because we're throwing people under the
worship wars.
Yeah, we're just throwing people under the bus because they don't like what we like, and I don't have any time for that. So I'm in a very nice situation to where I was the pastor who called the truce in the worship wars, and when the truce happened, 98% of the people who were still part of the church looked at each other and went, well, we don't really hate that stuff. We just thought you hated our stuff. And it was like, everybody went, oh. And they just, so now my church is very bizarre in that I can get away with putting stuff, like really weird stuff up on screen, and people understand it for what it is, that it's meant to be illustrative, and if you don't like it, it's not a blade on you, and if you do like it, it's not that you're special, it just, this is just what we're doing for this time, and if you don't get something that will connect, you know, this slide or this week, next week something will come up, and to me that's a real key in using any of this digital technology in worship is to try to help people understand that this really isn't meant to cut you off or cater to one side versus the other. It really is about trying to communicate something about the gospel, and you know, things will hit or miss depending on who we are.
Well, let's go ahead and say now that you've decided there is some specific reason, and it's a good reason that you want to use some video in your church worship service, or as an announcement on your website, or a testimony, or whatever it is. Wes, what are one or two things that I could do to do a better job of video that maybe wouldn't cost me an arm and a leg?
You like resources and things like that?
Resources, tips, skills, whatever.
Well, we had talked, and I think the easiest thing now is everybody's got a smartphone. Like, everybody has a smartphone, and it's 1080p. At worst it's 720, so it's high definition. You have video editors on iPad and iPhone that can do cuts and titles and things like that. So my whole thing, and we're talking about production value, and the idea. There you go. Hi, you're recording yourself. And we're talking about production value and the great struggle of making it look good. Well, there's like $7 apps on the App Store to where you can tie 3 or 4 iPhones or iPads together and do auto cuts while you video. So you can
explain that. What do you mean by that?
Well, it works over Wi-Fi, and I guess the cheapest one is called CollaboraCam, and it will tie together, I think, as many as 4 different devices, their cameras, and one device acts as the host. And so all the cameras are running, and you're recording, and you download the full video from every camera. But you can live cut the recording as you go through, so you can switch to the different cameras. So you can have 2 or 3 camera angles. ViiWigg is the other one. That's a little more expensive, and I think that works a little better. And that doesn't break the bank.
Why would you do this?
Well, because if you want to have something look a little bit better and not just have it look like it's grandpa on the corner, having more than one camera really kind of helps to give a video more dynamism. You can see action from 2 different angles. So if you're I guess, is that a hockey game that's on the preview there?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the classics. So you're on one camera angle and someone starts to break away and you switch to get a better shot to the person approaching the goal. That sort of thing.
Okay, so like your team, you could have a team of videographers, each with an iPhone, all running this thing, and does it connect over Wi-Fi?
It's over Wi-Fi.
You have to have a Wi-Fi network wherever it is that you're shooting.
Yeah.
Which, you could maybe have another phone.
Or set one up on your computer. Just be like, here, everybody connect to this.
Okay.
ViiWigg, I think, will do it over 4G or LTE.
So then the person controlling it, they sort of direct the shots by, all right, now we're going to go to camera 1 and now camera 3. And then does it record the video? Yeah,
it records it. But I know ViiWigg, you'll download the entire video from the other cameras. You can actually then import the whole thing as a Final Cut project and do more editing. So if you have that, you can do it. If not, you just keep your cuts on the thing. CollaboraCam, you used to just record what you were when whatever camera was live, and I think they've changed that now too, to where if the thing's running for 10 minutes, you'll get 10 minutes of video from every camera, and then the timeline will have your cuts in it, and you can alter that later.
You're saying ViiWigg?
V-I... It's basically video is what you see is what you get. I'll look up the link and I'll post it to you. But that's the type of thing that I think it doesn't break the bank. Everybody's got not an iPhone, but everybody's got a smartphone. So you're pretty much you have these cameras on hand, and you might as well use them. For really high quality video, and I just saw this yesterday when I was down at down at the tall ships coming into Philadelphia. No one has a point-and-shoot camera anymore. You either have you're either taking pictures or video on your smartphone, or you have a DSLR. Most of the DSLRs out on the market will take excellent video. I mean, like really gorgeous stuff that you can't imagine taking otherwise. And I guarantee you, someone in a church somewhere has got one of these things. At least in most. People who like taking vacation shots and stuff like that, and maybe they'd never thought of using it for church because, well, they're not a professional, and we like to have the good stuff at church, and but inviting someone who might be using that on their vacations and things, and invite them to come and video the baptism. That's one of the cool things that I needed to figure out a way to get a live camera looking into our baptismal for baptism a couple Easters ago. And what I did is I opened it up on my iPhone, and I did screen mirroring to my Mac, and then that projected up on screen through AirPlay. It was kind of fun. But that was like a hack of all hacks. But that's the type of thing you can invite people to come and do. Would you come and do this? So I have a gentleman from my church before I got my DSLR, because my phone photos never looked right in our sanctuary because the lighting's not very good, and I couldn't boost the ISO up enough to get good shots. And so if I wanted pictures of a celebration, I would say, Bob, come and bring your camera, take pictures. I'm not a professional. I don't care. Come and bring your camera, take pictures and give them to me, and we'll put them up on the site. And he did, and he could do that with video too. So that's the type of thing that two things that really we could use. Apps are wonderful tools to leverage them. Folks who have these things at home and don't think to use them at church because you're not professionals, we need to really be actively inviting people to come and use those tools. Okay.
How about you, Rick? Have you got a tip that you would give to do a better job of using video in church?
Well, just to kind of agree with a lot of the things that Wes has said about everyone's carrying these video cameras with them today. I've had some good luck with using, like on my iPad. I don't know where you're going to see this, but Replay Video is a very good editor. And so if your iPad has enough space on it, that makes a very good in the field editing tool. I prefer editing video on my MacBook, but this is certainly if you're traveling, if you're I know guys go to trade shows with just an iPad and an iPhone or similar devices and do all of their video on that. And so again, just for mobile tools to do some of these things that we used to require hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment. It's and that's something to think about when you're getting one of these devices. Okay, if I want to be doing something like that, maybe I need to get the next step up memory-wise. And so I've got the 128 gigabyte iPad here, so that I have plenty of room to move video on and off and to edit it in something like Replay, which is a great app.
If you're also a Adobe Creative Cloud subscriber, then you can make use of Adobe Premiere, which is fairly new, and that's an awesome tool. I love using that, and have shot a number of videos recently that I edited, that I started editing here, and then through their new sync features, you can sync it up to their cloud storage syncing service, and then get it on your desktop computer, whatever, or laptop computer through Adobe Premiere, which is probably one of the standards now that Apple kind of shot, kind of killed, not killed, but changed. What's their professional level one that?
Final Cut 10.
Yeah, Final Cut 10. The people kind of got mad and revolted and went to Adobe after that, but some are going back, I guess. Anyway, all right. Yeah, I think using the smartphone is a good tip for that, so that everybody can do it. And if you can't, sorry about that. If you can't do that, or if you don't want to do that, then when you're talking about HD video quality, your question is, does it have to be super high quality video? And if it doesn't, then almost all the phones that are coming out today have pretty nice HD quality video shooting capability.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All the point and shoots have pretty nice, and nearly every DSLR camera or micro format, what's the term for it?
Micro Four Thirds.
4/3, yeah. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Anyway, those are great for shooting video. In fact, that's what I use when I'm shooting a lot of video. I have a Sony camera that is one of those, and it's excellent. So those are some pretty cool tips. What about some gear other than your camera? Is there something, an inexpensive piece of equipment, Wes, that you could think of that would make someone's video better than it is now?
Always a tripod whenever you can. And for a phone, I would get a tripod adapter. Actually, I could probably go get mine out of my son's room. Just a nice little thing, spring-loaded, closes down. You can have it in a case or not in a case. And I think I got it for I want to say under $20 at Amazon. Tripods are beautiful. They make it.
The Gorilla Pods.
Yeah, I've never used a Gorilla Pod. I'm fascinated by them though, because you can hook them on stuff and you can get real close up, intense shots.
Well, I've got this guy, the big one.
Yeah.
Over here, because you can shoot and use it with your DSLR if you want.
Yeah.
But you can also put your your Samsung Galaxy S6 on it if you want.
It's pretty amazing.
It's expensive. It's $100.
Right.
But it's awesome.
Strong.
Yes, it's very strong.
That's really strong.
Yeah, and so, but if you don't want to go that high, you can, if you're just going to use it on your phone or you got a tiny point and shoot. Here's another awesome tool.
Yeah, there's little.
This thing is great, and it's got an adapter. I don't have mine with me. I wish I had thought to bring it in, but it's got an adapter that will that you can get. I guess I could just find it online and show you. But it's a clamp that comes up this, and as you're putting it on your phone, it clamps on the back of it, or wherever out of the way of the camera.
I'm gonna go get mine. I'll be right back.
And you can put it on this little tripod, or you can put it on the Gorilla Pod, or whatever you want. You can put it on a professional level tripod or a unipod. A lot of people forget about. Sometimes the ideal is just stability. A unipod, which is just one leg that sits down into the ground, and you hold it with your hands, with both hands as you're shooting or something, and that can give you some pretty good stability plus some portability. The biggest problem that I have with a large tripod is I hate carrying the thing, because I have a real big professional quality tripod, but I just hate carrying it. And that's why I got the Gorilla Pod, because it would fit on the little loops on the back of my camera bag real easily. And when I'm packing big in my huge Ogio computer backpack, that holds a 17-inch computer and everything, there you go.
It just snaps in. This is designed for the narrower phones, but that'll take an iPhone 6.
They make one for the XL, it's called.
Yep. Yeah, that'll be what I get next. And then
it's Grip Tight. That's the name of it. The Grip Tight XL for the larger phones.
Nice little mini tripod, which has got. This is kind of fun. This little
what
mini.
Brand is that one?
This is Manfrotto. My boss gave it to me up at ABCNJ. But this is a ball head.
Manfrotto is the name in tripod. That's sort of the standard.
It's got a ball head on it.
Yeah.
That's like, you can do anything with it. It's cool.
Yeah, if you don't know what a ball head is, it's like your hip, It's a ball joint, and it's got a lot more versatility to it.
So it's very cool. And
I think that's probably the best tip that any of us could give for shooting good pictures or video. If you want to make them look professional, get them on a tripod.
Don't make people dizzy.
Right.
So it's like, there you go.
All right. How about you, Rick? Have you got one?
Well, I thought the same thing, having a good tripod, and I don't know if I can add to anything that you two have said, because those are all good brands, and you talked about a monopod. That makes something that's very easy to carry, which I've used those before as well. But yeah, a good tripod, one that when I've done things like inside the church, one that I can turn without it creaking, because any noise that it makes is going to turn up on the video. So, you know, a little bit of extra money sometimes invested in those as opposed to the $10 ones on the shelf at Walmart. You know, go a long way.
A microphone would also be a good thing to pick up.
And when you talk about the creaking shots and everything, set your shot, then take it, and then set another shot and then take it. A lot of zooming and panning in video is kind of weak, right? Am I right about that, Wes?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was using my thing to take a selfie video of me. I wanted to see how it worked. A lot of panning. If you don't have a smooth cam, a lot of panning and zooming is ridiculous because it makes people very confused. You have to have your whole system set up to do that in advance. So if you want to change angles and stuff, that's where like having a ViiWigg, and I sent the link for ViiWigg, by the way, a ViiWigg or CollaboraCam for apps, or to have multiple cameras going and switch between them either in post editing or live. That's where you get your dynamic views, because if you do it with one camera, you're just going to make people sick. Don't make people sick. That's a good advice, right? Don't give people motion sickness in your videos.
That's a really good tip. And just establishing shots so people know where they're at is a tiny little thing that people don't think about. Or take video photos, you know, just 2 or 3 seconds of a person, you know, before something. Anyway, this is the ViiWigg you're talking about. Here's going to be the big thing that's going to cause a lot of shock for people right down here.
Yeah, it's expensive, but man, it's really nice. I am very rarely will say that a $30 app is worth it. I think if you want to jump in with CollaboraCam, which I think was at $8, that's a nice way to jump in. But when you want to really start playing with this, because at least they were advertising that you can export the projects to edit in a desktop nonlinear editor, so you can really take what you do with the cameras and go elsewhere. But the titles they have built in, the editor they have built in, everything is fantastic. And $30, the stuff that you do on ViiWigg is stuff that'll cost you like $100, $150.
Tap the red record button.
Yeah, this is a video showing how to use it, demonstrating how to use it, I guess.
Tap the record button again to stop recording. Tap the build movie to create.
Wow, that's amazing. You tap the record button to start recording?
Well,
we won't watch that whole thing.
Don't do it. I think that's for $30 it will give you freak a little people out. But if you're doing it in a family and you're on Apple's Family Share plan, to where you're sharing your account, you get it and you put it on everybody's iPod Touch, iPad, phone, and suddenly for your picnic out back you have 4 cameras running around.
That's a great point. Yeah, ViiWigg, ViiWigg. Well, let me show you something that I want to share. This is a tool that can be helpful. The AlaClip, which we mentioned before. I just want to give you an idea. I was testing this out at GottaBeMobile.com, and if you go to GottaBeMobile and just search for AlaClip, you'll find these posts. I've got 3 or 4 up here, plus we've got a bunch of other news about them. But here's an example. I was in a meeting, a banquet, and this was the shot without the AlaClip telephoto lens. And then I just popped that bad boy on, and that's what I was able to get.
Yeah, look at that depth of field you get in that, too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then, of course, this one was kind of grainy and didn't turn out as well, but that shows it. So here's the actual clip. I didn't take very good pictures of the AlaClip, but anyway, here they are. They're a little bit washed out. But
I have to admit, those have always tempted me.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Yeah.
That's how it fits over the phone. This is the without the circular polarizer lens, and then this is with it. You can see the color pops a little bit more in that. Here's a wider shot of it, and then with it. Oh no, this was a regular shot, and this is the wide angle. So now you can see the part of the building is getting in there now.
That wide angle is the one that really tempts me.
And so, and then this was with the circular polarizer attachment over the wide angle lens.
And I'm not seeing any vignetting. Maybe a little bit on but not much. And that's really impressive.
Yeah, they're really nice. Now that's one of them, and then this is that was the telephoto and circular polarizer. This is the fisheye lens. Give you the effect of it. And then this is the macro lens. These are. Can you guess what those are?
I see. I'm cheating. I read your caption.
Oh yeah,
that's really nice.
Some salt and pepper.
Oh wow,
that's really good.
Amazing.
And then of course I did shots of just the brick wall behind my house.
Is that from an iPhone or? It's
an iPhone 6 Plus with the AlaClip.
Wow.
And they've got them for iPhone 6 Plus, 6, 5, 5S, 4, 4S. Now it's a little bit blurry, and I think that's my fault more than the AlaClip because I was hand holding it. But notice my finger got in it on accident, and so I put that up there just to kind of demonstrate. You got to be really careful taking these wide angle and telephoto lens shots. But you can get a really neat, image of this. And then the AlaClip app I found to be kind of junk. I just didn't like it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was just really complicated, and at first it was unstable. They've updated it so it's a little bit better now. But so here's some shots I took with it. That's the wide angle versus the regular lens. My fork handle.
That macro is beautiful.
Yeah, the macro is really nice. It takes some really nice shots. That was the regular shot, and then this is the macro.
Yeah, that's really good.
So, and then that's the little lanyard thing goes around your neck. So, my eyeball.
Wow.
Really good, Kev. I like those.
Yeah, I do too. I was really pleased with these lenses, and now I've also got.
Did you try them with video at all?
I didn't do a lot of video in this because I was mainly just focused on taking pictures. But they will work well for video, and you can use them for video. I have used them since then.
Yeah, that wide angle for video would be cool.
Yeah, it would. And now I've got this telephoto 2X lens.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes also with the, this is the, the wide angle. I'm sorry, I was reading. I forgot. It's got a telephoto and a wide angle in one. And then they come with these nice little caps that you put on top of the lens to protect them. And then this red piece here, it comes with 3 different colors in the box. And this red piece. You can hook it on this so that, see, I can, what I do is I hook them all on the same thing, and then you just pop these things off. It's a lot easier when they're hooked onto this lanyard, but you pop it off, and
snap it on.
I'm having trouble putting it on actually putting it on the phone for some reason, but. So then you can pop it on the phone real easy. They also have a case that if you're a person who prefers to use a case with your phone, they have a case that fits.
I wondered about that.
And so you can get the case. And so what I'm reviewing now is this 2X telephoto and wide angle lens and the case, but I don't have the case on it because I took it off. I actually haven't been using my iPhone because I've also been reviewing a Huawei P8 Lite dual SIM card. I'm the two-fisted cell phone user, so I've been walking around with just one phone, even though I'm using both of my lines. But that's for another idea. Anyway, so these things are awesome. You were talking about, taking pictures and video with a camera. One of the problems that you have is to zoom with those things. You can distort the video quality.
Right.
Zooming, but this allows you to zoom without having to do that. You still get the same native format, and so it's a useful tool.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Sure, go ahead.
You talked about they make different ones for different iPhones. Do you think that they will ever come out with a universal so that you wouldn't have to replace the whole lens system if you got a new iPhone?
I suppose they could. I can't see why they wouldn't be able to. The cynic in me says no, I don't think they ever would, because that would means that you wouldn't upgrade and buy a new one. You know, because these things aren't going to, you know, it's not likely these things are going to break anytime soon. Sorry, I've got video from the AlaClip website. I was getting ready to show that. These things are sturdy. They're solid. They're not going to break anytime quickly. And so, you know, the only reason you'd upgrade it probably is if you get a new phone that doesn't fit it. And so, you know how businesses are all about, they got to come make the next buck, right? So,
right.
And I don't know. I honestly don't know, because the way that the lenses are designed, they're designed to interact with the way that camera is set up. And so I don't know if you create like a universal adapter where it's, you know, will squeeze in if the lens moves a little bit or the flash moves a little bit, things will get screwy, or it'll screw up the focal length. And
but
so
they could make
you can make adapters for
attachment that could fit each new phone, but then,
yeah, and that's what I was wondering, why they don't do that.
Yeah, so that then you're just buying a new attachment for $20 instead of buying a new lens for $100.
And I guess it's kind of what you do for this with the case, because you can use whatever their lens is on, because you just squeeze it, or screw it into the case, and then you're
the case is that it doesn't. I get what you're saying, but it doesn't work that way. You have to have the lenses for the iPhone 6 Plus to use with the iPhone 6 Plus case.
No, that stinks.
Yeah. Anyway, so they've got them for. I'm showing you they've got them for iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, the 5 and 5S, the 5C, 4 and 4S. You can even get one for an iPad, and for the S4 and the S5 on the Galaxy S series.
Very nice.
So you can even Android. You know, I've got an S6, and by the way, this camera on the S6 is outstanding.
That's what I've heard.
Excellent camera, and so I would love to have them make one for the S6 Edge, which is what I've got. By the way, don't get the Edge. If you're looking at an S6, don't waste your money. The Edge is just a gimmick, and there's not a single good use case at all yet. The apps that they have on it, not a good one. Not one single good app. Not one. And so don't waste the extra $100 for the Edge. It's a waste of your money. Unless you just, you know, you're into the style and you think it looks cooler, which it does. I think it looks cooler. But, you know, anyway, that's not what we're talking about today.
Hold up your watch phone, Antoine. Antoine's going the complete opposite direction. He's not even listening to me. There you go.
There you go.
Just do this.
We're talking video. Doesn't that take pictures, Antoine? He's muted.
His microphone is off.
No, I did not get the gear that takes pictures.
Okay, so that doesn't take pictures. I remember I used to have the Gear too, and it took pictures, and so that'd be interesting.
What the heck was that like, taking pictures?
It's not good.
These aren't a good idea.
Yeah.
It's the only reason to do it is like sometimes I would if I go to a big hospital to visit someone, I want to remember where my car is parked, so I'd take a quick snap of the where I'm at in the garage to remind myself, or I mean, the only time I really used it was sort of when I was video or testing it. I used it to test it to see what it looked like. But for actual real use, I never really used it, and that's why
there are compelling reasons to use a camera and a watch. But like you said, that'd be a different discussion if you.
But none of them include wanting to get good pictures.
Well, that's here. I'll throw this part out and I'll leave it alone. Back when I got the Nokia N95, there were a lot of people that exclaimed, "Why would you need 5 megapixels in a camera phone because you have a really good DSLR?" And people were reasonably happy with their 1.3 megapixel whatever crap they bought from whatever carrier they bought. Mm-hmm. It's the same way with a watch phone. with a camera and a watch. It's not the quality that you would think of. It's the convenience factor. And there are certain things that are done at that convenience level that make a lot more sense that weren't really explored by Samsung. So that's
I'm still trying to figure out. I know we're talking about video, but how is that
It's
convenient?
not good. Let's talk about it some other time maybe, but I just we just have a few minutes left. I wanted to give Antoine a chance. We've been talking video and how to do better video in church and when is a good time to do video. I know you were unable to get here early, so you missed most of what we said, but do you have maybe one or two quick little tips that you'd like to share about using video, shooting video for church?
Sure. I wrote an article about it for Church Tech Today, actually, about a month ago. So that's a great plug for that one. Really good tips. Ditch all of your semi-expensive camera equipment and make people use their phones. It's more interactive, and it makes ecclesia out of the church if you allow people to use their personal technology in order to be your videographers. Spend your energy, you stitch the video together, but spend less money on the hardware, spend more energy allowing your community to be the videographers, their perspectives, especially for your younger members who are really adept with mobile. They'll see things that you just can't see, won't see, and it will make every beautiful video producer angry when you say that. However, I'm right, and I've yet to be proven wrong in mobile, so I'm going to keep with that one.
That's basically what we said earlier, Antoine. You're good.
He's humble too. That's the other thing I really like.
He's extraordinarily.
All right.
I'm not humble. No, I'm not going to be humble with that point. The other part I will say though is look for the missed opportunities. You know, every church, we think about doing video in terms of the service as being the opportune time to use video. But you really should look at other moments. You mentioned earlier, while you're visiting folks in a hospital setting, or maybe when you're doing some street ministry, or if you're on a missions trip. Video is a very powerful tool in terms of allowing people to get the message, get the vision of whatever your ministry is standing for. And so use pre-recorded video, use video in other languages or audio in other languages as a means of reaching out and not being afraid of using either a mobile or tablet device to create, produce, or share those items. Those are the kind of things that you take advantage of the people to make the technology have a place where it could stand. So I've done that for a lot of years as well, and we got a really good thing going with Bible translation, where because we can't find the Bible, text Bible, we actually have people reading the Bible and translating on the fly from English to whatever their language is, usually Urdu languages, or the device, and has proven to be a very powerful tool to share the mission vision of those local churches.
Well, Antoine, you're sort of cutting out there, and we're having a hard time hearing the end of that. And looks like he's frozen now. So we're hitting right after the 10 o'clock hour, and we've already lost Rick. He had to jump out, and so that's a great freeze frame right there.
There you go. Kev, can I just one more thing, because this had come up in a grant we're writing for ABCNJ. It really is helpful, as much as we've all said, have people use their phones, and everybody's in agreement with that. It's really helpful to teach people how to video. And I'm almost coming to the point now where you're doing something like a baptism or something that's inside the church, or a mission trip that's even a little bit harder. It's really good to use the people from the church, but I almost wonder if we're going to do video of street ministry or visitation or something like that, if we really encourage our churches to send their folks, send a team of folks with their phones to someone else's ministry and video it for them. Because one of the things, and this is why we struggle a lot with getting video in our region level, is when you suddenly become the photographer or the videoer, a lot of times you feel like you've stepped back and you're not actually part of what's going on. And in like a church picnic, you don't want to feel like you're not actually participating, or if, like a street ministry, you want to feel like you're actually doing something. You don't want to be the person who's sitting back just kind of observing stuff. And so that's part of the great struggle that a lot of especially our smaller churches have, to where our whole community's doing something, and here I am sitting doing a video. And while that's got long-term value, short-term people kind of look at it and be like, well, what are you doing? And so kind of training people to prep them to understand that, yeah, when you take on this role, you step out and you're a half step back, and even encouraging folks to go to other people's churches and be like, listen, I know you're doing this. Can I bring 3 or 4 people, and we're just going to observe and take video, and we'll do this for you, and see how that goes on. I think that's a wonderful kingdom building thing in general.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. It might be, you'd have to really work at that to get that going properly. But like you said, though, the person taking the shots is often they themselves might feel like they're somewhat separated, or the people themselves might want to separate from them, because if somebody that I know and is a friend of mine is in my face with a camera all the time, I'm more willing to say, quit that, stop that, than if it's somebody I don't know, hey, here's our photographer, then you'll just kind of go, and then they can kind of talk to you and get you to smile, and okay, finally I'll smile. Because some people, my experience is 90% of people hate to have their picture taken, or hate to be videoed. They just hate it. Am I wrong?
No, I'm not. No.
Yeah. So you having somebody else do it, that might be a cool thing if you could work that out somehow. Well, listen, we're just now over time at 10:01, so we're glad that those of you who have watched this, we're hopeful that you got some good tips and some ideas about it, how to do video in church and when and ways that you can do so. And thank you, Wes, for your expertise, and we appreciate you sharing that with us. Antoine, I'm glad you could join us, even if it's a little late for just a minute or two here at the end. Thanks for being a part of it.
Not a problem, guys.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and bow out. We do this every Friday morning at Theotek.com. You can find the links to everything. Find our YouTube channel, and we hope you'll subscribe over there. If you prefer audio, then we're doing this available on iTunes and Stitcher Radio, which means, as a result of that, you can listen to the audio portion of this on just about any podcast app that you might have on an iPhone or iOS or Android, anywhere else. And we hope that you'll enjoy it. Share it. Let other people know about it. Drop us a line. You can find us over at Theotek.com. Find all the links to our social media so you can hook up with us and tell us what you think. Tell us what you'd like us to talk about. If you've got something to share, let us know. We might even invite you to come and join us on the program. So this has been the Theotek Podcast. Thanks for watching.